Tonight, the Renters' Right to Cooling Ordinance officially passed with a vote of 5-2. What this could mean for renters and landlords across the city of Spokane in the coming years.
Typical sunny and warm conditions expected over the next couple of days, but I'm tracking gusty winds on Saturday that'll bring a return of critical fire weather.
Plus, a felony warrant leads to a tense standoff in Benewah County, and a man now faces 38 charges after investigators say they seized multiple illegally owned guns. Everything we know ahead on your night report. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the Night Report here on KREM 2 News. I'm Sydney Schofield. New tonight, Spokane City Council officially passed an ordinance that will require landlords to provide adequate cooling to their tenants. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones was at tonight's council meeting and breaks down that vote.
Prepared to vote.
Well, there was quite a bit of dialogue at this week's city council meeting.
Because you got to go out and get pricing, you got to contact vendors, there's a lot of things that go into it.
But just because it requires multiple streams of action does not denote the importance of any one action.
Between public comments and testimony from council members ahead of the vote, several perspectives were shared, different opinions voiced.
This was created in response to the 2021 heat dome, but also in anticipation of increasing temperatures, right? Because it's not getting any cooler.
Spokane City Council members ultimately voted 5-2 in favor of adopting the proposed ordinance, a step which now requires landlords to have adequate cooling in each bedroom by 2032.
Throughout those discussions, it's come back to how much is a human life worth? What is the cost of doing nothing?
Supporters say this would help lower heat-related deaths and illnesses, while opponents argue it would impact affordable housing.
The ordinance needs better policy definitions. Adequate cooling is still subjective and difficult to measure.
As for the two no votes, those came from Councilman Michael Cathcart and Council President Betsy Wilkerson. Both expressed the need for adequate cooling, but shared hesitations in the overall approach.
And I do get concerned that we're calling this a right to cooling, which is going to end up being a misnomer because people are going to believe that they have a right to cooling, which means energy is free, which means that they don't have any responsibility there.
Also worth noting under this freshly passed ordinance, if a unit is not kept cool, a tenant has the right to buy cooling equipment themselves and then seek up to $500 in reimbursement from the landlord.
Some of them may use that as an excuse to vacate. I'm not saying that they will, but some could.
This problem requires a multifaceted solution. Those of us on the ground will continue to do our part, and you must do yours.
Reporting in Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Let's talk weather now with meteorologist Michelle Boss. Michelle, we had a string of pretty hot temperatures out there. Now things look a little bit calmer.
Yeah, it's pretty calm. It's a beautiful night out tonight. Temperatures are very comfortable out here. And I was just taking a look at the full moon, and it wasn't reddish tinted at all. And I know it's been that way multiple nights, or the moon has, because of the smoke in the air, but I didn't see any of that at all tonight. So air quality, not too bad. Still in the moderate category for much of far eastern Washington and North Idaho. Little pockets of areas where it's in the unhealthy for sensitive groups, unhealthy. Those are in the vicinity of some of those active wildfires. But otherwise looking at pretty quiet weather out there. 72 degrees in Spokane. It's already cooled down to the upper 60s in Coeur d'Alene, the 50s in Sandpoint, and pretty comfortable out there in Moses Lake, 74, 78 in Lewiston. Wind speeds have been relatively light, generally under 10 miles per hour today. We're looking at relatively light winds tomorrow, but we are watching for a big increase in winds on Saturday, and because of that and low relative humidity, a fire weather watch has been issued by the National Weather Service, which does cover all of eastern Washington, North Idaho, even extends into western Montana and parts of Oregon. That is because we could see wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour. Just overall a very windy day, and of course very dry conditions could cause this rapid spread of wildfires. Air quality alerts still in place for some parts of the inland northwest. Those areas shaded in gray, those are kind of evaluated on a day-by-day basis. Otherwise, that patch of clouds that moved through this evening has pushed right on out. Clear skies expected for tonight. We'll drop down into the upper 50s overnight and have plenty of sunshine tomorrow. As temperatures warm up into the mid-80s, it will get back into the lower 90s on Friday. And then again, we're monitoring winds closely on Saturday and the impact on fires across the region. Temperatures pretty hot on Saturday as well in the mid-80s.
Michelle, thank you. MultiCare Health System and Premera have reached an agreement in principle to keep patients covered. The deal means Premera members will continue to have in-network access at all MultiCare hospitals, clinics, and facilities across Washington. The two sides had extended their existing contract through July while negotiations continued. Now, MultiCare does say that the details of the new agreement are still being finalized after talks that began in 2024. Medicare premiums are expected to rise next year. The Trump administration says it's ending a Biden-era program that had lowered the cost of drug coverage for millions of Americans 65 and older. For the past 2 years, the federal government gave health insurers billions of dollars in subsidies to help keep prescription costs down. Once those subsidies are gone, millions of Medicare users will have to pay hundreds of dollars more per year for their medication plans. The Trump administration says it's ending the subsidies because health insurers no longer need them. It said most Medicare recipients will see premiums rise by $10 or less. Some will see lower premiums. Washington's primary is next Tuesday, August 4th, and Whitman County Fire Protection District 1 and City of Tico residents have until then to decide whether the fire district should annex the city. Fire Chief Donovan Chase said that District 1 and Tico fire departments are already working out of the same fire station and sharing the same firefighters. Prop 1 would enable the sharing of other resources like fire trucks between the two departments during fire response. He said this ballot initiative will not cost, he says that this will not cost anything to residents and that all firefighters working for the district are for it. Today, hundreds of law school graduates, including several from Gonzaga University, were unable to take the bar exam after technology issues forced officials to cancel it. The Washington State Bar Association says testing could not safely continue after technical issues disrupted the exam, though it had not said what caused the failure. Officials are working to schedule a makeup exam in late summer or early fall. Applicants can also defer to February's exam or receive a full refund. But some graduates say travel and lodging expenses are not being reimbursed, adding to the financial and professional impact of the cancellation.
There was never any kind of discussion about reimbursement or the money part aspect of it, which is pretty offensive and pretty tone deaf, if you ask me. Everybody prepared for months for this exam, high stakes. A lot of people have jobs lined up that are contingent on passing this exam.
Now today, KREM 2 reached out for further comment from the State Bar on the issue. They declined to provide any further details. We'll keep you updated, though, as we learn more. To a developing story out of Idaho tonight, a military veteran filed a legal claim against the Idaho National Guard, accusing guardsmen of assaulting her outside her Washington, D.C. home. Newly released video shows part of the confrontation provided by the ACLU. The claim alleges guards detained her without explanation and used excessive force. The National Guard says they were trying to detain her over an alleged May 6th incident involving liquid being poured on a guardsman. No charges have been filed in that case, but she was charged with assault related to the confrontation 2 days later. A Benewah County man is facing 38 counts of unlawful possession of a firearm after a standoff near Cherry Creek. Deputies say they were serving a felony warrant when the man barricaded himself inside his home. The Kootenai County SWAT team was called, but before officers got there, the suspect surrendered peacefully. He's also charged with 1 count of careless discharge of a firearm. More headlines to come here on the Night Report. U.S. forces launched a major wave of strikes against Iran today after officials say an Iranian missile attack targeted a U.S. base in Jordan. We've got the latest coming up.